Hi guys, Kyalblake here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today, as of the spirit of Halloween, October month, all of that, armpits, no hair, you're so welcome for that. And also, as you see, new backdrop, all black. It's actually velvet, you can't see that, but it's pretty. But the other little thing to point out too is this nice little fucking dot on my head. I had a nice pimple, it won't heal, it needs to fuck off already, but it's kind of gonna work and help for this makeup look today. So either way, whatever. Anyway, today, what are we going to be doing for today's video is obviously, as I just said before, the spirit of Halloween. I'm going to be showing you what I did in the intro, little pencils through the face so you can scare the fuck out of some people. It's pretty effective, it looks pretty good. Either way, it's actually also quite easy too. So, what you're going to need for this look, this makeup tutorial, whatever the fuck you want to call it, Halloween inspired trash. So for today's video, what you're actually going to need is kind of actually simple to do. No foundation, none of that, because we want to look busted as fuck as much as possible. What you're going to need first for it is just some little Crayola pencils or crayon Faber-Castell, some easy cheap throwaway pencils like this that you can cut up and make into shapes that you want to shove into your fucking face. The next thing you're going to need is some Prosade cream. I do prefer this, especially for this sort of makeup look in this application, because it just helps deposit it for later on. You'll figure it out why. You can use liquid, you can use spirit gum, and you can use liquid latex too, but I just prefer to use the cream. It just works a little bit nicer. The next thing you're basically going to use, you can use eyeshadows for this, but I'll use creams for it just to kind of build up the color. It is just like a color palette thingy like this. It's all grease paint. It's not the makeup for everyone because I'm a cheap bitch. This one's Eye Magic. You basically can get it from Amazon, eBay, anywhere cheap, really. I think you can get it at some costume shops, but this is like 15 bucks. Either way, another good thing to also have is a Krylon little bruise wheel like this. This one I think is actually, yes, it's the black eye one. I did find it very useful for the little purple red shade up here and some of these other ones which we'll use, right? So, next thing you're basically going to just be using is also some translucent powders because we're going to be setting some things throughout the makeup. So, let's get into it now. So the first thing before we actually kind of get into the actual makeup part of itself, as I said before, you're going to need some pencils. More busted the better, like this, how it's been in my pencil case for fucking ages. But yeah, basically what you want to be doing when you have these pencils is just kind of line them up where you want them to kind of protrude and come out of your face. Then you're going to be cutting them at the angle that you want them to be coming out of your face. But so what I've done, I'm going to be basically placing this sort of bit of pencil into my eye about here, just between my eye and my brow bone itself. And then I'm going to be doing another bit of it down here, just under my cheek, and another up here. So I have used these pencils previously in a different time. I've actually done this makeup look, so there might be leaving little bits of shit on my face. But as I said before, the more raggedy, the better. What we're going to do is first dip it into like one of these little cut-off ends. Dip that into the Prosade, get some white shit like that. And what we're going to do, obviously, because we're doing two sides of this one, we'll do it on both sides. But what we're going to do, pencil. There. So what we're going to do with this part is just placing the pencil there with that product just so it can transfer the Prosade onto the face itself. We'll let it dry. Because Prosade itself is a contact adhesive, what it needs to do is go on both sides or on both things you're wanting to apply and then dry, and then it'll go clear and then also become quite tacky so you can stick both sides together. But what we'll do, obviously do the other bits, but I'm just going to put this one aside for now until I need this later. Where the fuck can I put this now? So now what it looks like, we're covered basically with jizz. We're just going to obviously let it dry, let it get a little bit tacky, but a good way to do it, get a little fan and just fan your face until it basically dries. So what we're going to do now is use that little red bit of the pencil that I did cut out before and just shove it on where it needs to go. Just like that, there's one little pencil down. And you get a little bit at the bottom. It's good at this stage too to also push it in, so it grabs into as much of the skin as you can possibly push into, just so it can make it look like it kind of is going under the skin a little bit. Now let's stick the rest on. And even though it's obviously not finished at the moment, it still looks quite effective. I can obviously see a lot of pencils at the moment, it looks very fucking weird, but as you see it, the Prozade just gets it to stick, it ain't moving anywhere. Ooh. I'm dizzy now. But as you can obviously see at the moment, the Prozade itself is still not dry a little bit. What I'm going to do, once again, is just fan over a little bit till it dries, gets all nice and clear, and you don't see any of the white anymore. So we'll just skip over this part because it's basically boring. It's just drying and fanning. So woo, see you in a second. Alright guys, as you can see, I got a lot of fucking shit in my face. I had to be an extra bitch and put another one in my neck because you know what? I fucking can. What we're going to do now is use the Kyal blending powder in flesh. What I'm going to be doing is just putting this over where the Prozade was. I know there's a little bit of wet spots here. I'll avoid putting them on at the moment, so I'll be back in a sec when I do that one. But I'm going to be basically using a little fluffy brush like this. And what I like to do with this, I like to pick a lot of it up on the brush itself. Let's see if we can see it, almost like that. I like to use the lid of it, just tapping the excess onto it because you don't need a whole lot. What this is basically going to do now is set where the wet or still kind of active part of the Prozade is, and I'm just going to basically stop it from being sticky. And also the reason I like to use the flesh color instead of the translucent, what this will do is almost kind of not fully give a skin-like effect, but I'd rather have this kind of yellower orange pigment in it than pure white, because it will look more like skin. So now we just dust away the excess. So here's where it becomes the fun part, kind of like getting the colour into it, getting the bruises, the blood, and all that sort of shit. What we're going to be using is the Kyal colour wheel in black eye, I think it's just called. What I'm going to be using is this kind of purpley shade here to lay down where the bruise is going to be, or at least a lot of the colour. It's kind of do it as you want it, where you want the bruises, obviously where the pencils are going, and it's going to be where the most bruising is happening, kind of around the eyes too, just because it's like bloodshot. And also I'll be putting some yellows in there too, just to make it look like it's been there a little while, but you'll see once I've kind of basically finished how it makes sense. What I'm going to be doing first is using a little bit of a fluffy brush like this, dipping into that purple, and also that darker purple too at the same time as using the lighter one, just mixing the two together. What I'm going to be doing is doing the bruising following the pencil where it's going, so I'm going to first tap it into place. It's very finicky, this sort of work, so I'm going to be placing it first here, and I'm going to be using my finger and just blotting it out a little bit, just to diffuse that colour so it's not just like a gigantic block of it. And to deepen up, I'm going to use that little bit of the black shade in there too. I think it's black, so just there. And because it's still got some of the purple on it, it's like a more of a darker purple at the moment, which is good. Once again, trusty little finger and pat it out. So now we're going to use our eye magic. If you've got the Makeup Forever one, I'm going to go into the little yellow shade that's in there. And I'm going to be now dipping this around the perimeter of where that bruising is. Finger, blend. And because bruises are quite a dimensional sort of look itself or appearance, especially when they're natural, has different colors in it where it will have green, it will have a little bit of brown, red. So it's just getting a lot of those colors into the places where you want them to go and how you, it is, as I said before, it depends how you want the bruises to come across and how you want them to look, how weathered you want them to be, how old you want them to be. It can be somewhat meticulous, but it will look good when you just spend the time on it. You take time with this part of the step. And with that eye magic palette again that I've been using, this one I'm going to also dip into that pink shade and a little bit of the red. I dropped something again, as fucking usual. But once again, building up the bruise just around the perimeter. Once again, I'm not wanting to have a lot of this color in this specific one, so just a little dab, 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 dab. Dab, 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 dab. Finger, blend. You get the idea by now. Another good thing to do too is also when you maybe put too much colour in one spot and maybe too much, I like to go in with the yellow go around the perimeter of that, and it helps diffuse it, makes it blend back into the skin using the yellow colour. Now what I'm going to do is go back into that colour wheel once again from Kyal, dip into the most dark red bloody shade, build up the colour, same thing, rinse and repeat basically. What I'm also going to do now is use that little Eye Magic palette once again. I'm just basically using the same two palettes, the black eye and this little Eye Magic one. I'm going to use the little brown and also black one at the same time on a nice little detail brush like this. This is a paintbrush, you're welcome for that. And what I'm going to do is also go around the area of the actual pencil itself just to get rid of, you see that little discoloration there, so it makes it look like it's actually coming out of my skin. And this is why I like to use this little detail brush, so you can actually get into it like nice and finely. You can use a fluffy brush to do this, but I just prefer to make it more realistic, just being a little bit more meticulous with it. See, it makes it look like it's going into my skin now. See, I use the same brush basically with all the colours that I'm putting down because I want them to mix, I want them to blend, I want them all to kind of be cohesive at the same time. It is kind of filthy and dirty in a way, but it just makes things come together better. But I'm going to use the little green in the Eye Magic, and to make it look like it's festered, it's gone off a little bit, it's been there for a little while because I'm a dirty bitch, is also just tap some of that green into the area itself once again, as I said before, to make it look a little bit festered. Just blending it out with your finger. You don't need a whole lot of the green, but you don't want to be looking like a Navy SEAL. Unless you want to look sexy, please do that. So with the other part of this makeup too, I want to make my eyes look like they've been extremely bruised because of obviously all the fucking pencils that are in my face. What I'm going to do is using all that same product again with that Kyal colour wheel. This one, I'm going to dip into that nice dark purpley red, I don't know my colours. One that's next to that pinky purple. With this fluffy brush again, I'm going to be putting this right into the socket of my eye because this is where I want the most darkest part of the bruise. Trusty finger, blend it out. Use a clean finger too, just so you can diffuse a little bit more around the edges. Now I'm going to be using a little angled brush like this, where it's a dome, sort of flat. I'm going to be using that colour wheel once again. That one, going to be dipping into that really, really dark red, basic, nearly black. And then I'm going to be placing this once again into the socket of the eye, right here. Finger, blend, you got it. So at this stage too, what I'm going to be doing is using my finger this time, going into that yellow in the Eye Magic one, a little bit like that, going around the perimeter and just fading out where the purple is and that really dark colouring that is around my eye, just to make it look like it's been there for a little while. But I'm going to be doing the rest of my face. Obviously there's no point showing you every single time I do it. It's just putting the colours in there. The ones you're basically mainly going to be using is a lot of the yellows, a little bit of the green, more of your dark purples, your lighter purples, maybe some red, and just incorporating those colours into it to make it look like a natural bruise. If you want, Google what bruises look like, kind of get an idea of how the colours are within a bruise, and just put it where you think they should go. But either way, I'm going to do the rest of my face, I'm going to put it where it needs to go, and now we'll be right back. Boom! So guys, obviously as you can see, I've got all my bruising basically in the places that I want them. I'm missing a little bit up here because I want to actually show you what I was going to do for this part. I'm going to go back in with that fluffy brush once again. I'm going to be focusing more in this area itself, more on my yellows, my browns, because we don't actually have anything physically like impacting kind of like the wound and the area, so I want it to just more look like a pressure bruise, if that's probably what it's called, I don't know. But I'm going to use the yellow in that Eye Magic. I'm basically just going to focus sort of this in that area, just in here, just smashing it all around. Trusty finger, tapping it out. Using a clean finger to get rid of some of that colour, blend it into the skin. Gonna use that fluffy brush again, dip into the brown that's in the Eye Magic, tapping into the middle, finger, blend. this is basically just use it to darken up the middle bit of it. Now we're going to, in that little bruise wheel palette that's from Kyal, that's it. I'm going to dip into that purplish shade, the one that's at the top, yeah. And I'm going to use a tiny bit of this and dab it here, more around the center of it, so it looks kind of bruised. And finger once again. Now that to me would be more like an impact bruise where I smack my head and it's just formed a bruise, but the other ones are more like impact bruises where you've actually got things underneath them that are aggravating you and making you pissed off. And what I'm going to do now is go back over these spots, like where I've actually put the grease paint itself. I'm going to use that flesh colored translucent powder once again and just set the areas, because bruises like this aren't shiny like they are showing up at the moment. They're supposed to be under the skin, and using this flesh colored powder helps. So at this point I want to kind of re-emphasize some of the yellows that are in there, because putting that powder down gets rid of mainly the yellow color itself. So what I'm going to be doing is getting a yellow eyeshadow. What I'm going to use today is the James X Morphe or Morphe X James palette, whatever it is, and using the shade B. And this, I don't want too much product on this, so I'm going to knock off the excess. That looks pretty. And just tap over the yellows a little bit, just as I said before, to re-emphasize some of that color that's in there. So at this point, basically guys, the look is pretty much complete. You can add blood, you can do that, which I'm going to do. I've made some little blood right here, pre-mixed it, and how I've made this is basically gravy, food coloring, and a little bit of gelatin, just so it has a thicker base to kind of stick to. But I'm just going to put this around the pencils, let it drip around, move around, all that sort of stuff. So guys, as you can see, that's the end of the look. I also had a little bit of bruising onto my lip because it looked kind of bare and looked stupid, so I did it. But as you can see, I've got all my gore. I am basically an art teacher's accident at the moment and worst nightmare. So obviously remember to like the video, comment down below, subscribe to my channel too while you're at it. Might as well, because you know, it's right down there, just not gonna do it. But obviously, thank you so much for watching guys, and I will see you on the next one. I plan to do a couple more for Halloween because I love to make myself look ugly. It's so much more fun than pretty, alright? It's much easier. So, as I said, thank you so much for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.